Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable, the community weekly card draw portion of the show. And today's Wednesday, February 26th. Yeah, it's going by fast. It's going by really, really fast. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to my weekly afternoon show. And yeah, I kind of pause a little bit because we have a really, really busy week here at Star Nations. We have so many shows for you this week, and I have two back to back today, and I have one tomorrow. So I had to pause just a moment. It's like, which one am I at? So anyway, welcome. Welcome for joining me this afternoon, being in the live chat. And those that will be watching the recorded show, thank you so much for making time for us too. So today's show, the Spiritual Roundtable, the weekly card draw, community card draw, I should say. I draw the number of cards that my spiritual team would like me to draw in the morning, and we have two of them today, two cards. And the intention is for Spirit to show us what's important for us to know about this week, what kind of energy is flowing this week that is that's helpful to us, right? That will help us, give us those aha moments, those insights, those clarifications to our soul contract, to our spiritual growth, that sort of thing. So we have two cards today. And those cards, no matter which week it is or what day it is that we're doing this on during the week, is that it sparks a spiritual conversation. And I got to tell you, I love that conversation. It's so much fun to be here with you guys and to be able to have that kind of conversation with you that is meaningful, right? Yeah. So what I've done already is I took a few minutes ahead of time and sent the live stream over to my news feed and also to two of our private groups here at Star Nations to remind the peeps that I'm live streaming. And I also sent it out to a few of our community members through Messenger because they've asked me to do that for them, or we're just kind of in a routine with it. So welcome, everybody. Let's see who's in the house before we get started with cards. Look who's here. Violet Colby's here. Hi, Violet. She says, this show is very knowledgeable. If you're looking for spiritual direction, then you should try this show. Thank you. Thank you, Violet. That is so sweet of you to say. Rob's here too. What is this show all about? I don't know. It's about spirit. All about spirit. And look, Rochelle's here too. Hello, Rochelle. Good to have you here. And Jackie's here too. Hello, Jackie. And Angie's here. Hi, Angie. Good to have you here. Andrew. Hello, Andrew. Good to have you in the house, guy. Good to have you here. And thank you so much for that, Rochelle. Really do appreciate it. We started doing live stream shows. It'll be 2 years this coming September. And one of the things that I started doing almost right away was inviting you to send the link over to, whether it's a friend or to your news feed, or to be able to sprinkle it about, right? And the thing is that here's how I see this, is that as energy workers, as light workers, when we find information that's helpful to us, it's almost like a civic duty to be able to pass it on, right? Because if we were looking for it, so is someone else. And so we might be helping somebody and making it a little bit easier for them to find the information. And so that's one of the reasons why you'll see us sending different posts and videos to the different groups, to the main fan page, so that when we find something that's really kind of interesting, we do that kind of sharing. And you'll find it on my personal page as well, my personal profile, like I shared the Eagle Medicine Dance thing. And yeah, that was really good. I was on, a good friend of mine calls when she's out on YouTube, she calls it a YouTube walkabout. And she finds some interesting things. And Lisa just showed up too. Hey, Lisa, good to have you here. Good to have you here, Lisa. So for those who may not know, these are the cards that we're using. The Sacred Spirit Reading Cards by Anna Stark. Anna is from Australia. And the illustrator is Lewis Dyer, and he's also from Australia. So these cards have that perspective, that energy within them. And so I always find it fascinating, interesting, to have similar information that we might get from cards here in the United States, right? Authors here from the States, when we take in information that's similar from another perspective, because it helps us to see it from a broader place, right? Yeah, it's good stuff. So we're going to share. I need to end this show just a little bit earlier today because Nature Adventures with my co-host, Minnie Kansman, is on right after this show. And so I need just a little time to dash down the virtual hallway to another studio. And so we need to end just a little bit earlier today, okay? And hopefully you guys will follow me over there because we got some good stuff talking about over there too. All right. Here's the first card. Let me turn off the crawler. Sometimes it gets a little annoying when we're trying to look at a card and we have that crawler going. Okay. Here's the first card. It's actually the cover of the book in the box. It's the 23rd card in the deck. That's a 5. That's all about transformation, right? And it says, lead the way. Listen to yourself. Light your own path. Light your own path. I just love the illustrations in these cards and the colors that they use. So this is, some might call it a stag or an elk. It's pretty big. It could be a white-tailed deer, possibly. It's in the deer family. It's a male. It's got horns. And if you look on his hide, the skin, it almost looks like tattooing, doesn't it? Energy swirls, and look at that, right in the center. Looks like a bird. Fascinating. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah. Even where he's walking, there's flowers and plants, and it looks like crystal, something really sparkly. Yeah. Got to check something here. I forgot to turn my other microphone. There we go. You know, and then up above, right, you got one really bright star. If you look at it really closely, it's a star tetrahedron, and it's right above his head. Yeah, rainbow colors there too. Love those colors. And so here is what we do know about deer, right? Deer, when we're doing drum making, right? And someone is making a deer hide drum. And this is what I found working with that hide, is that it's much thinner. It's thinner than elk hide, much thinner than buffalo, right? It stretches really, really easy. Real easy. So easy that you have to be careful with it. You have to be very aware of how hard you're pulling or how much you're pulling, because you could easily overstretch it, right? And if you do that, when it dries, it cracks. So the characteristics of deer, we turn what we know about them, right? Because they're everywhere, and they're a prey animal, that's for sure, and they're pretty prolific, right? There's thing is that here in Wisconsin, I'm sure it's the same way in just in any other state as well, is that our deer population and the predator population, and in our case, wolves, they're symbiotic. If the wolf population is low, the deer population will be high, and vice versa. Okay, and so in a natural state, they would be balancing each other out. In a natural state, it's when us two-leggeds get involved that we complicate things and kind of throw things out of balance, right? And so there's sometimes in our state where the whitetail population might be bigger, right? Because we're trying to manage them. And so we screw things up. The other thing that we know about deer is that because they're a prey animal, they're very vigilant in their environment. They have terrific hearing. Their eyesight's not all that good, but their hearing is very, very keen, really keen. And so in the card, if you take a look, one of the things that we say about antlers is that it carries with it the energy or the metaphor, right, of clairaudience, clear hearing. And so if you take a look at the card, if you take a look at his antlers, look how bright they are, right? And so are we receiving information? Are we sending information out, right? But they're pretty bright. And so the card itself says, light your own path. Light your own path. Listen to yourself. In other words, trust your own intuition, right? Now, that doesn't mean that we don't take in information, that we don't take in the environment around us, or even other two-leggeds, right? We might be asking them, what's your opinion? What do you think of that? But even when we do that, and we're asking for their input, that doesn't mean that we're going to take everything they say and do exactly what they're going to say, right? We take it, what do they say? Under advisement, right? In other words, you're going to take it in and see, does this, and we should be doing that. We should be doing that with all the information that comes in, is discerning it for ourselves, right? Before we make that decision. Now, that discerning could happen in a breath. It could take us hours. It could take us weeks as we kind of bounce back and forth. Well, should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? Right? The thing is with discerning is that means that we are turning to our higher self to help us, to show us which is the best decision for me. How do I use this? Or what do I do with that information? Right? And so it's a good and it's healthy. It's a healthy thing to do, is to discern information as it's coming in. Like I said, sometimes it's really easy and you can do it in a breath. And other times, you add it to that information, you add it to the pros or cons list, right? Yeah. And then but it's good. It's good for us to be able to do that. And if you're not doing that, is to get into practice of doing that. Is just pausing long enough to turn to your spiritual team, because on your spiritual team is your higher self, right? Because that's the part of us that's leading this whole experience. And to be able to make that connection to your higher self and say, okay, which to do, how to use this, how to use that, right? Yep. All right. I'm just going to see who else is here. Hey, Kimberly. Kimberly's here too. Good to have you here, lady. And Rob is saying, it's a whitetail. It's an old one. That's a lot of points. Well, when I first looked at it, when I first looked at it, it felt like an elk to me because of the size of the antlers. White-tailed deer really don't. I mean, for a white-tailed deer to have this large of antlers, they do. They have to be very old. And we're talking old. We're probably talking maybe 5 years, 6 years. There's not that many deer that live past 10 or 15, that's for sure. So, yeah, you're right. It would be an old one, but it kind of felt like elk medicine to me. Angie is saying, I had a conversation with a deer yesterday. You did. Now, there's no coincidence, right? You would have this conversation with a deer, and then we get this card today, right? So whatever information that is shared today in the conversation, Angie, you can take with put that into the information that you received yesterday and see how that resonates with you, number one, and number two, how do the two messages go together, right? Yeah. And Rob is saying under advisement is the Latin for when I'm damn good. Is that Latin? Well, good and ready. Yeah, basically. Basically, in other words, it's you're going to be the ones making the decision. Yeah. Okay. So here is what the author has to say. She says, the faithful deer is a creature of deep sensitivity with heightened senses and a strong fight or flight response. The deer is always alert to the environment around them. And and if we look at his eyes, let's see if we can get the camera to focus. Focus. Very large, right? Very large eyes. Yeah. It's almost, if you've ever been driving your car and you have a deer in your headlights, right? What do? They stop and they look at you, right? And then they take off, hopefully. But they do have that almost shocked expression, right? It's like their eyes get big while they're taking you in. Now, if it's a young deer, they might not have a whole lot of experience with vehicles, right? All right. And she goes on to say that this sensitivity and readiness of the deer requires a symbiotic relationship of trust of the physical senses. So when we're receiving information, we're receiving both the physical information and also the non-physical information. So in other words, the seen and the unseen, right? So we're taking in information from our physical surroundings, but we're also taking in the spiritual, the energetic information all at the same time. All at the same time. And so with this card, and you take a look at his horns, is that that energetic information is coming in and it's really lighting it up, right? That light language. It says, now is the time to ask yourself, what is it that you truly want or need in your life right now? In life, facing potential threats or confrontations is necessary and something we can't always avoid. Like the deer, you may instinctively react, choosing to run away from your problems. However, this will not help the situation to improve, right? But you have to decide that for yourself. Given the information and discerning for yourself, is it best to leave the situation, to put some space and time in between so that you can make a bigger decision? Is it best for you to stay in whatever that is and to learn from it and to step into your bravery, your courage, right? To face something that could be very uncomfortable. And that usually comes with some sort of confrontation, right? Nobody really likes confrontation. Not really, right? And so sometimes it's for our soul growth to stick with it, even though it's uncomfortable, even though there might be some pain to it, you know? Um, for our soul growth, sometimes that's what it takes. Other times, could be for your physical safety, for your emotional safety. Sometimes it's best to put some space between you and the aggressor, right? You and whatever it is that's making you feel uncomfortable. I think it's kind of a fine line. It's a fine line that we have to check in with ourselves to see if do I want to leave this, run from this situation because of it's there's the fear and the threat is real and that I need to protect myself, right? Or am I running because I don't want to deal with this, right? So it's kind of like avoiding it. When if we would turn and face it, there's that possibility that there's a whole bunch of soul growth in it, right? So that's the discerning. That is something that we each have to decide for ourselves. There's no reason to put yourself into a threatening and a safety situation. You know, don't do that because you're much more precious than to have to put yourself through something that could be really hurtful to you, right? But we have to make that decision for ourselves. Am I leaving because of the physical threat in my safety, or am I using the fear to avoid a confrontation where I might have to use my voice, right? To use my throat chakra as an example. All right. Let's see. All right. So right now, you're being encouraged to connect strongly with your base instincts. What does your gut tell you about a situation? And to be alert. You must decide how to choose your approach. Do you need to face the person or the issue, or can you remove yourself from the situation peacefully? Like the deer totem, you may need to hold a torch for others to be guided down a positive path or in a direction that was previously hidden. It's important to assist others when they do not have a light to guide them. Instinctively, you must learn to accept the changes in life and run peacefully with the flow of the universe. The affirmation is, I choose my own way forward. I am a guiding light. I choose my own way forward. I am a guiding light. Yeah. And don't you find that sometimes it's easier because, when we're awake on our path and we know that service to our community is, we want to, our heart's in it, right? That sometimes it's easier to do that, to be that light bearer for someone else, right? Than to take the time to discern for ourselves in a situation, an event that, am I going to leave, or am I going to stand and learn from this, even though it's uncomfortable? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I've been on both sides of that. All right. Angie is saying he's taking in everything. Yes. The deer in that card is really taking in all of the information coming from the environment. And Rochelle says, I saw a deer next to my upper deck. I looked at her. She looked at me and she continued to munch on some grass. I opened the sliding door and she kept eating. She didn't appear scared. Well, she's probably used to you. right? Which means that she's been around for a while and she knows that sound of your door. Because let me tell you, they're hearing when you watch a deer, right? And what you can see is their ears, they kind of, because they're listening to everything. It's kind of like an antenna in a way. No, I'm sorry, not an antenna. That's not the right word. Yeah, they're taking in all of the sounds, right? And if there's a sound that they're not familiar with, or that they connect to a threat, they're gone. All you see is the tail waving at you as they leave, right? So that just says, Rachel, says to me is that she's been around for a while and she's used to you, right? Just like now, some of you have been to my house and you know that I have the four-season porch off my kitchen, right? Off the dining room. And lots of times when it's warmer out, I'm working out there. And so a lot of the animals in the area, they're used to me being there. And so I've had deer literally up along the fence line where we're probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet from each other. Now, we got glass between us, but or screen. I've had fox do the same thing. It's just that they get used to us and they know that we're not a threat, right? Yeah. Hey, Barb's here too. Hello, Barbara. Good to have you here, lady. Angie is saying she trusted you. That's right. She's familiar with you. And Martina's here too. Oh, I'm so glad you're here too, Martina. I'm glad you can make it. I'm struggling with that. Yeah. I think, see, when I do the card draws on Wednesday morning, right? The intention for the card draw is for information, energetic information that'll help us with our soul growth, help us understand our soul contract, right? To help us with insight and possibly even have one of those aha moments, right? Where things kind of fall together. It's like, oh my gosh, that's it. I never thought about it that way, but that's it, right? And so um, this particular card is telling us a whole lot, a whole lot. And we're taking in a whole lot of information and we have to discern it for ourselves, right? And we have to take that information and that discernment. And in those times when we don't know, do we cut and run and just let it go, right? Or is it the fear that we're feeling is that an avoidance because we don't want to go through the confrontation. And in that confrontation or in that communication, right? Because we're talking about information coming in that communication, is there soul growth in that for me? And is that why it feels so difficult, right? Or challenging? Yeah. And sometimes it takes us a little bit to kind of filter through that. What was that about, right? Yeah. Martina's also saying confused so bad. I used to have those. Yeah. And Barbara is saying, but there is a culling going on. I don't like that deer are being killed. We have taken their territory. They need us to respect them. Yeah, we do. I think it depends on a lot of belief systems. See, the culture that I come from is that, especially the white-tailed deer, um, we would do ceremony before the hunt. We would do ceremony during the hunt. We would do ceremony after the killing, right? After the harvesting. We would do a ceremony as we're preparing that first meal with that meat. And I think it depends on how we respect what's given to us, right? Now, as a vegetarian, because I've been that too, um, a lot of it was because the food was being disrespected. And yeah, we can pray over it, we can bless it, and change the vibration of it, right? So I understand what you're saying, Barbara. I really do. And there are hunters out there that, it's purely by sport, and there's no respect to it, And the thing is that as an enlightened being, as an awake two-legged, I really try not to judge them for that, right? And yet, on the other hand, I can get pretty indignant about it too. Just ask my brothers. It's like, the heck are you doing? Yeah. So I totally understand that. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you're back, or I'm glad I'm back. One, two. All right. So we have a second card. So the second card always supports the information from the first one, right? And so this card is the third card in the deck, and it's Astral Travel. And it says, caution needed. Caution needed. Astral Travel. I like those blues and purples in there. Right? Astral Travel. And in my family, we call this traveling. It's where your soul, your spirit, leaves your physical body and travels to other realms, other dimensions, and is working, is experiencing, right, all along the way. But our physical body remains asleep in bed, and our spirit self goes out wherever we need to go. And we're never alone. Even if you wanted to go alone, you wouldn't be alone, because your parts of your spiritual team will go with you. Even though, we have free will, we could say, well, I'll go by myself. Your guardian angel isn't going to just let you go. They'll go with you. We all have certain team members that are meant to assist us in that kind of travel. And so it's almost like we have an entourage, right? And so you still have all of the protection. Make sure you do before you go. And you have help, right? You have help. So hey, Minnie's here too. Hello, Minnie. And so with this card, Astral Travel, number 3 in the deck, and 3, it's a creation number. It also has the Celtic meaning of Mother, Maiden, Crone, right? The Trinity, the Holy Trinity. Some would equate the number 3 with the Ascended Masters. The Astral Travel, caution needed. Observe your surroundings. Observe your surroundings. It says astral travel can be described as a willful out-of-body experience, allowing a person to observe their physical surroundings. Entering the gateway to the astral plane or astral realm with intention is a careful practice that must be aligned with intention, clarity, and soulful purpose. Okay. So to have a clear intention, because we can do astral travel in a very conscious way, right? Some would equate that with shamanic journey, right? Now, my Misha, my grandfather, used to tell us that you're not out there to play. It's not a playground. You go, you do what you have to do, and you come back, right? That's not a place just to kind of hang out. We have a physical body for a reason. Our physical body is for our soul, our spirit, to have this physical experience. So have your intention, go do what you need to do, and then come back. Yeah. You're not out there to it's not a playground, is what he'd say. And the thing is that much of it is about observing. There is some activity, there is some doing, but most of it is observation. You know, that you're getting information from another. God, my crown chakra is like this. Is your intention is to gather information so that you can bring that information back here so that you can be clear about whether you're helping somebody else or it's a part of your life that you're getting information about, right? That information is meant to bring it back into the physical realm. Yeah. She goes on to say that a sacred portal is hidden into, a sacred portal to hidden realms. Accessing the astral body allows you to travel and experience different realms of consciousness and universal experiences. With any astral travel, it is recommended to have a travel buddy with you, such an ascended master and angel, for added spiritual safety. So here again, we have a belief system, right? And how you believe your spiritual helpers are traveling with you, whether you're in this realm, right? The conscious reality that we're in this reality, they're right here with us 24/7, 365. What we have to do is turn our attention to them and ask them questions and ask them for help and for assistance, right? Yeah. So they're with us even if we go to another realm. They're still with us. Yeah, because they're connected to our soul. They're connected to our soul. And even your physical body that's at rest while your soul is out into these other realms, isn't alone either, because we have those on our spiritual team that will stay with the physical body, right, to make sure that the physical body is safe. Yeah. Okay. So she goes on to say that primarily an astral experience allows individuals to observe, a witness to surroundings such as environments, past events, people, and your own forgotten experiences. Astral information and experiences are affected by fear-based thoughts and energy frequencies. Keep your vibration high and alert your senses to any unwanted energetic connections that can influence you in a negative and spiritual abusive way. Observe your surroundings and be aware of manipulation by others through psychic energy, speech, and planned social meetings. Caution is required in all areas of communication. Keep sensitive information confidential. Okay. So, in other words, Spirit is letting us know that we're taking in a whole lot of information all the time, both seen and unseen. And as we take in that information, depending what our intentions are about, is to be aware of our surroundings, right? That we have good boundaries, both in the physical world and also the non-physical world. That our boundaries are in place so that we have the ability to filter things out, to recognize them, right? And know what we want to keep out and what we want to bring close into our own environment. It also means that not every being has the highest intention, right? And so when we feel like that deer and they're bringing in all kinds of information and they have that fight or flight, right? Is that we're listening, we're taking it in. Is this a risk, a safety risk that I need to back away from, right? Or is it my fear of confrontation that blocks me from having the spiritual growth? And so I'm using that as an avoidance, right? So, between these two cards, I really feel like Spirit is letting us know that we need to be very aware of our surroundings, both the seen and unseen. Okay, so here's the affirmation to this card. I am divinely protected. My soul is safe to explore my path with ease and grace. My soul is safe to explore my path with ease and grace. So in our soul growth, in what we're here to do, whatever your soul contract is, right? That we're all here to do the same thing, and that is to have soul growth, to gain wisdom, And we get to help each other with that in the physical world and also the non-physical world. So many of us travel in soul groups, right? And we've already agreed before we even came here that certain souls were going to play certain parts for us so that we could have that soul growth, right? And so I think these two cards are really reminding us of that and reminding us of how we take in. We take in a vast amount of information every moment, the physical information and also the non-physical. Yeah. And so when we lean on our spiritual teams to help us, that's what they're there for. When we do our discerning, what we're doing is we're tapping into our soul self, and so that we can have more complete information as we're making our decisions, right? Yeah. All right, I'm going to get caught up with you guys in the chat. And Rob is saying, I never get indignant. Oh, I bet you don't. Angie is saying, I have 3 team members travel with me. My team never, no, they never do. No one goes anywhere by themselves. We have an entourage. we have those those in spirit who are here to assist us in all things, right? Yeah. All right. So we know from past experience on this show is that when I show you both cards, that a lot of times the energy, the combined energy is pretty big, right? And so if you've done your grounding today, yay. And your centering and your protection, that's triple yay. But if you haven't done your grounding yet, I would just take a moment, and sense your grounding, sending that energy all the way down to Grandmother Earth's core, grounding to her. And then asking your spiritual team to come close. Remember, they're always here. We're just turning our attention to them and asking them to help you to take in the information that's meant for you in the optimal amount, in the optimal way. Right? Okay. All right. And so here are the 2 cards together. All right. So we have lead the way, lighting your own path. In other words, taking in the information, all the information, and making your own decisions, right? Traveling your own path. And then we have astral travel, which is all about, I'm trying to get those in there, which is all about caution needed, right? In other words, that we're not traveling alone, that we have all kinds of help, And as we take in all the information that we possibly can to assist us in our soul growth, right? And the lighting up of the deer's horns, that's taking in that energetic information, clairaudience, and actually using that information to help us light up our own path, possibly even to help others as a light bearer to help light that path, right? I love these colors in these cards too. And I'm going to add that our path can be beautiful. You can see with the deer as it's walking, underneath its hooves, there's plants, there's flowers, there's sparkly things there, probably crystals, right? It can be beautiful. We just have to be aware of our surroundings and take in as much information as we possibly can. Yeah, there we go. I like that one. Yeah, we take in a lot more than I think we're aware of. Right? You know, Patricia Heredia, she is one of our show hosts and contributing writers. She's on Monday, the first Monday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. She is a long-time hypnotherapist, and she gives us a lot of information about our subconscious self, right? And at our subconscious level, we take in much more information than our mental mind even knows about. And so in that subconscious mind is our inner child. Mm-hmm. The inner child that is the messenger between our conscious self and our higher self. So if you're a dowser, that inner child is the one that is moving your muscles to get you that yes or no answer, right? Here's my imagination and how I see this happening. I have this question. My mental mind, my conscious self has this question, and I'm dowsing for it, right? And my inner child hears the question and takes off running down the hallway to our higher self to ask the thing. Well, we have a question. We have a question. And she asks the question to our higher self. And higher self, which is connected into the collective consciousness, knows exactly what is going on, can deliver the message to the inner child. The inner child takes that answer and goes running down that virtual hallway, that energetic hallway, back to me, the conscious self, that's holding on to the pendulum or to the rods. Rob and I were talking about this last night. And the inner child moves our muscles, right? Because the inner child, the subconscious self, runs everything that's in our autonomic parasympathetic system, the blinking, the breathing, all of that. And so our inner child plays a much bigger role than most of us are aware of, right? And so that inner child is taking in a whole lot of information for us, a whole lot of information. So anything with the conversation that we heard today, if it resonated with you, yay. What I say is embrace it. And then watch, sense, feel, see how the energy is unfolding around you and where this information could be helpful to you, right? But if it didn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. Really, don't worry about it. Just let it go, because there's always next week's cards that might have a resonation for you, right? Or maybe you're the messenger. And you might know somebody who would enjoy the conversation or perhaps is looking for the information. And you can just send it to them, right? And then you're done. Yeah. So I'm going to get caught up with you guys in the chat. And hey, Jana's here too. She says, gosh, I feel like I have a lot of help all the time. I know we do. We really do. And, because they're with us all the time. And Angie is saying, oh boy, this message is hitting my heart heavy. I was supposed to hear this. I'm grounded. Oh, good. Yay, Angie. It's so good to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, Marie's here too. Hey, Marie. She's beautiful cards. I know. I love those colors. Look at what I'm wearing. I kind of match those cards. I didn't do that on purpose either. And Lisa's saying, I felt an energy boost, saw the cards merge. The man was standing in front of the deer. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh my gosh. No coincidence, right, Lisa? All right. So I hope you can join us, Minnie and I, for the next show, which is Nature Adventures. We're sharing about the body intelligence. Yeah. Did you know that we have elementals with us all the time? Part of our spiritual team, in fact. And we started talking about this last month. So we thought we would bring it over into this month's show and expand that part of the conversation because it's fascinating. So if you can join us, that would be great. We're going to be finishing up here in just a few minutes, and maybe you can go over to Nature Adventures and join us there. Okay, because Minnie is our resident expert here at Star Nations about nature spirits and the elementals and the devas, and so we're going to have this really fascinating conversation about our physical bodies and how the elementals are connected to us and how they can help us. Right? Yeah. There it is. All right. So, and later tonight is Polly Jo LeBay and Soul Connections at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And that is all about the healing meditation and also card readings in the second half. So you can join us for that. Tomorrow, Thursday, we have 2 more shows for you. I know we got lots going on at Star Nations. We have at 4 p.m. Nope. Retract. All right. So at 7 p.m. is Chakra Sessions with Polly Jo LeBay. And I forgot what she was talking about. No instant recall. And then the second show is Living in Two Worlds with Orchard and Carl Franklin, and I'll be there too. And we're talking about light workers and energy workers in 2020. What's our responsibility in this new decade, right? And so, and that's on at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So got lots going on, lots of information for you guys. And so we're going to end just a little bit early so that I have a little time to be able to go over and get prepared and kind of situated for Nature Adventures. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And we'll see you back here on Sunday afternoon for the Spiritual Roundtable Dream Interpretation show and the private group. And that's at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That's this coming Sunday. And then the next week Wednesday, will be the Spiritual Roundtable, the community group card draw at 3 p.m. Okay, so Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Thanks for being with me, you guys. We'll catch you on the flip side.